Hey guys, welcome to a little tutorial video here. I've been working on a map. I wanted to create a domination map is what I'm trying to create. And if you've played any Unreal tournament, you know what a domination map is. There are certain areas in the map that you have to dominate or you have to control. And when you control all of the areas on the map, or when one team controls all the areas on a map, then you win. And so the areas would be in the map like, the way I'm thinking about doing it is maybe having buttons, so like when red team hits the button, it changes it to red, whatever. Haven't got that far yet. I'm at the very, very early stages of it, but I'm doing this in Bedrock Edition, right? And the command blocks, and I'm not a command block guru by any means. I thought this would be a good way for me to learn command blocks because I really don't know a whole lot about them. And the commands in Bedrock Edition are different than Java Edition. The two are not compatible at all, really. They're quite different. And there's some things that are same, but there's a lot of things that are not, like the summon command, for instance. In Java, you have all these different options. In Bedrock, you don't, So one of the things that I wanted to do, that I wanted in the map, and if you've played any sort of, deathmatch type of stuff, or any of the Doom, Quake maps, Unreal maps, any of them, they all have pickup items, right? And these are items that you can, you go along and you're running down the map and you pick them up, So, in this case it would be, armor, but, it could be weapons or whatever, right? So you need to have I wanted to have pickups in there, and I wanted to do it so that it was automatic in the system. I wanted to replicate the look and feel, if you will, of some, like Doom or Quake, for example, or Unreal. This is kind of more like Quake, where you get the item floating, which is like Unreal and Quake, and Doom, they were just kind of sitting there on the ground. But anyways, I wanted to replicate this, and I looked at tutorial after tutorial after tutorial and could not find anything that worked at all. Now this is the current version of Bedrock. It has the Nether update in it and stuff. So this is the most current version that we have on Bedrock Edition. And I couldn't find anything that worked. So I basically just started, I gave up on looking for a tutorial and just started looking at what I could do myself. So I went through all the commands and I found the replace item command. And this was sort of the key that gave me the idea, because looking at the command, I could see that you could replace a container, an item, a slot in the container. You can place it with an item, and I thought, well, now that if I could replace it in a dispenser, for example, if I could put a diamond chest plate in a dispenser, then I could use that dispenser to just shoot the item up, and there it would be. And lo and behold, it works perfectly. So let's go over here and look and see what we're doing here. And this is really like super simple stuff. I mean, if you've done any sort of Minecraft stuff at all, this is just, it's just stupid simple. I mean, there's no other ways about it. But let's see if we, the command blocks are on a Ethel hopper clock, which, it works. The hopper clock works great in Bedrock Edition, so definitely recommends it. But that replace item command, it pops there it goes, pops it right into that first thing. Which now, if there's an item inside of a container, then the comparator's going to fire off. Which I just grab it from take the comparator and pop it into a repeater to basically as a signal booster to just boost the signal up to 15, and then it just wraps around this way and hits the dispenser again, which pops the item back up into the block. So there you have it. And then, you know, on the map, you can just run along, pick up the item, pop it on your chest plate, and you're good to go. And here's the command. It's just replace item block, the location, which is the location of the dispenser. Now, if we go over here and look at the dispenser, that's the location of this dispenser right here. If we stand up on the block, you can see the position here is 0, 4, minus 7. And see, it's 0, 2, minus 7 because it's obviously 2 blocks down from where I'm standing. So you have replace item, you want to replace a block at this location, and because it's a container, you can do the slot.container command. 0, which is slot 0. Now on these dispensers, slot 0 is this slot here. And I believe it goes slot, I think the documentation says it goes vertical. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe is how it goes. But this would be slot 0. So here we have slot 0, and I want to put a diamond chest plate in there. So, and that works perfectly well. So, diamond plate. Now the problem, of course, is I wanted to put this on a timer. And by the way, this is how you do Etho hopper clock if you haven't. Etho's the one that invented the hopper clock, and I always like to call them Etho hopper clocks, although most people just call them hopper clocks now because they're so common. But Etho's the one that actually invented this, and I remember when he first invented the hopper clock, and all of us were like, "Oh my, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread," because it really was, because we had no way of doing an accurate timer until he developed this timer when the Redstone update came out. Amazing stuff. Anyways, go back in history and look at it. It's pretty cool. Look at his video on this because he did it right after that. It's pretty cool. But anyways, this is how you build it. Just 2 hoppers, redstone block. I'm sorry, 2 pistons with a redstone block in between them. You got 2 hoppers facing each other with comparators on either side, and you just put in the number of items that you want in there, and they just go back and forth. And whenever it empties into one, it switches the block over, and then you just pull the redstone signal off of one side, or both sides actually. If you want, you could do that. So the problem was, now I figured that part of it out, and it works great, but the problem was, okay, if no one picks up that item, I'm going to have, 1 item on there, then 2 items, and 3 items. I'm going to have a ton of items, right? So I only want 1 item at a time on that pedestal. I don't want multiple items on it. So this is where I do the kill command. And the kill command is really very, very, very simple. You just do kill at entity, type is an item, and the location here. 0, 4, and minus 7, which is the location of the block, right? Because the block, if we stand on the block again and look at it, we can see, if you look in the top left there, you see 0, 4, minus 7. And so we want it to kill it at 0, 4, minus 7. Now you can put a range modifier in there, like R equals 2 for the range, but I didn't really need it because the item's going to be sitting right on top of that block after the dispenser pops it up. So I really didn't need a range. I just specify the coordinates on it. And this is what's called a target selector. So if you look at the kill command, it's just going to say target selector. So in the wiki, what you do is you go into the commands list, and it has target selector in there. It's not a part of the kill command. It just says target selection. It gives you different things, but it's real confusing. So just go into the target selection setting, and this will tell you how to select a target within the entity. And basically, you just put it in the square brackets I was putting it outside of the brackets and it wasn't working, and I getting syntax errors and I couldn't figure out why. So I went over and looked at the target selection, because that's basically what you're doing. And sure enough, you have to put it inside the brackets and you separate it with commas. If you do it outside the brackets, you don't a location, you don't separate it with commas. But inside the target selector, you delineate all the items within this target selecting for the entity with commas. So it's a little bit confusing, but this is basically how you do it. The first thing I do is kill the item if it's over there. If it's not over there, it doesn't do anything. It just says can't find the item, right? So kill the item first. If it's there, then go ahead and replace the item here. And then when you replace the item, it fires this comparator, which activates this repeater, which sends the signal right along here, which fires that dispenser, which pushes the item up through the block, and it sits right on top, just fine. And obviously this would all be covered up. I just left it open so you could see how the mechanism works. So this would be, if you wanted to do, say, a Bed Wars map, for example, you could replace the diamond block with emeralds. You would have to probably get rid of the kill command, because you'd want multiple emeralds, for example, over there, or multiple diamonds or whatever. The problem would be that there's no way, like in Java, you can specify a parameter with it. For example, pickup time, or age of the item. And the age of the item in Java, the age of the item would be how long it is until the item despawns. So if you set the age to a very large number, if you set it to, I think the value is minus 32,767. Minus 32,767. If you set it to that value, the item won't despawn at all. However, you cannot do that in Bedrock Edition. At least I don't know. I never could figure out a way to do it. You cannot do it in Bedrock Edition. So the emeralds would, after 5 minutes, they would start to despawn. And I don't know any way around that. But be that as it may, you could, if you don't do the kill command and you run this relatively frequently, I'm doing it faster than I would really probably want to do it. I would probably put at least a couple stacks in there, rather than just have the one stack in there. Probably a couple stacks. If you fill this thing up completely, all the way across with full stacks and all of the slots and in the hopper, it will run for about, I think, 3 minutes ish, something like that. So two minutes or 2 hoppers filled would be, say, 1.5 minutes, I guess, something like that. So that would probably be more reasonable for this type of pickup item here. So anyways, but you could use this for emeralds, for example, or like in a Bed Wars type of scenario, item generator, or for whatever. So you could do this with not just diamond chestplate, but with any item whatsoever. Splash potions, for example, could probably go in there, I would think. I haven't tried it, but I'm sure you could probably put it in there, which would be pretty cool. Splash potions, which I think would fire the splash potion out and give the effect. I think I have to try it and see. I haven't tried it, but whatever. So so I just wanted to do a video on this because I could not find any way of doing this in a clean manner on Bedrock Edition. All of the tutorials out there on Bedrock Edition that have this sort of thing, all of them just about use a chest that, they clone a chest and they put the chest over there, they break the chest, and it just doesn't work. It does not work. Not in this version, at least. And so I really wanted this sort of look and feel to it. I wanted this to look just like it looks right here. I wanted it to look like the old FPS deathmatch type of item pickup that you see in Unreal and stuff. And this does exactly that. So I'm really, really happy with it. Very consistent. It works a treat. So anyways, guys, yeah, so that's it. Very simple. Let's go over we'll show you the commands here again. Kill at E entity, open bracket, type equals item, comma, X equals, whatever your X, Y, and Z coordinate is, close bracket. So that's the kill command. That will kill the item that's sitting on top. Again, if you're going to do an item generator, say iron or emerald for a Bed Wars or whatever, just don't do the kill command. Just do the replace item. And here we have replace item in a block at X, Y, and Z location, slot container 0. Now you could do slot container 1, slot container whatever, doesn't matter. Slot container 0, because this is a dispenser, which is a container, so slot container 0, and I'm putting a diamond chest plate in here. So you'd put the item ID, whatever the item ID is. And I'll tell you a good way of doing this is to use the in Windows 10 version at least. I don't know about the other Bedrock Edition versions, but in Windows 10, if you go into the command line and you start typing in, see, it'll give you the autocomplete. So replace item, and then block, and then your position, 0, I forgot what it was, 0, for -7, I think's what it was. And then slot container, so slot container 0, and then item name, and then see here you could do all kinds of stuff like so can we do splash potions? Yeah, splash potion, and then 1, and then the data, you can't see it very well on the screen, but that's data item. So that would be the data item of whatever splash potion that you were trying to put over there, whatever it is. But I mean, you could use, emerald, emerald ore. I mean, whatever. You could put whatever over there. So that's really a good way of doing it. That's kind of how I did it, so that I got the proper formatting on this command here. So replace item, and I think the replace item only works in a container. Yeah. So the block if you look and see the block, it only does it on a container on Bedrock Edition. I don't know about the other versions, but that's what I needed on Bedrock anyways, was this sort of setup. And again, I didn't want multiple items, so do the kill command first and then do the replace item after that. So there you have it, guys. And look up the tutorial for the hopper clock if you want to use it. You could use any number of things. I mean, you could, put a wooden pressure plate down and put a couple cobwebs on it and spawn an item on top of it. I don't know. You could probably do all kinds of different things. I'm not sure that actually would work in Bedrock now that I think about it. Maybe if you TP'd an item up there. I'm not sure how you TP an item in Bedrock Edition either. Bedrock is kind of an oddball. I hope they get the parity the same with Java on these commands, because that would really be a lot easier to deal with these sort of differences, because there's just not a lot of information on Bedrock Edition out there on the different types of commands and how to do stuff. You just kind of have to mess with it and figure it out on your own, really. That's why I'm doing this quick little tutorial, just to kind of give you guys an item on, give you a method of doing it, because I looked long and hard and couldn't find a thing that worked. So, and just to give you a little preview, you know, let's see. I've got a levitation block here. That's going to be in the game. I've got a instant health. That's going to be in the game. Both of those use the execute commands, and levitation, and yeah, those might do separate tutorials on those once I get closer to messing around with those. But those are really super simple. Just look up the execute command. I mean, that's what I did. There's plenty of information on that. So just look up the execute command, execute detect, to detect a block, and then you can, once you detect that block, and if it's true, then you can do an ability or an effect on it. And there's several tutorials out there on that actually do work, because that's how I got that working. So, but this one, I could not find a tutorial that worked on it. So I thought I'd do one for you guys. Hopefully it works for you, and I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye now.